It's seriously been 10 years since this movie came out. The Conjuring was released in 2013, directed by James Wan, starring Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, Ron Livingston, and Lily Taylor. And yeah, today is the 10th anniversary of this film. I was going to review this last week because I'm going to review one of these each week until The Nun 2 comes out. But I felt like it was more appropriate to wait until this week, today, to review this movie, since today is the 10th anniversary of this movie. And wow, I seriously can't believe it's been 10 years since this movie came out. So let's just go ahead and start this review, starting off with good. And personally, I really love this movie. This is probably my favorite modern day horror movie. I have to think a little more on it, but this is definitely up there for me. Probably definitely my favorite, but yeah, just a lot to love in this movie. First, you have Patrick Wilson in this movie. He's really great. I love Patrick Wilson. I talked about how much I love him in the Insidious films, and he's just even better in this movie. And what I really love about this movie, I will get to a little bit later in this section. But Patrick Wilson, just really great in this movie. Then you have Vera Farmiga in this movie as well, and she's equally as great. I really love her chemistry with Patrick Wilson. I feel like she takes a little bit more of the lead in this movie, despite Patrick Wilson being the top billed actor. She just does a really great job. She takes front and center quite a few times within this film. And like I said, she's just got really great chemistry with Patrick Wilson, and they're just really great together. It honestly almost makes you forget how terrible people Ed and Lorraine Warren actually were in real life, but I'm not going to get into that. They just do both really great jobs, really great chemistry from the two. And then you have Ron Livingston in this movie, and he's really great. Yet I don't really see much of Ron Livingston these days. He was in Office Space, then he was in this. Then he was in that Flash movie this year. He's been in other stuff, obviously, but those are the three main things I remember him from. But he's just one of those actors that's just really great every time he shows up. It's great to see him, and he does a really great job in this movie, as does Lily Taylor as his wife. And of the family that's being haunted in this movie, she's the main one experiencing this shit. And she does a really great job as well. Much with Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, she's got great chemistry with Ron Livingston. And aside from the characters, you just get a really great story, really great atmosphere. It's your typical haunted house movie, sure, but it's just one of those things that James Wan, he was getting experimental with Insidious, and then he took all the stuff that worked from Insidious and then he put it into this movie and made it 1,000 times better. That's just how great this movie was. And I love Insidious, but this is probably my favorite James Wan movie, and for good reason, because he just takes all the bells and whistles, all the typical stuff you get in your haunted house film, and the formula that goes with that type of film, and he just improves it and makes it even better. He turns the genre on its head, just like he did with Insidious. And I just really love the way that he handled it. You got some really great creepy atmosphere, great set design, really effective jump scares. And I'm not usually a fan of jump scares, but the way James Wan was able to handle them in this movie is just masterful, because you actually build up to a scare instead of just loud noise there, loud noise there. It's actually an actual built up to scare, and it all feels earned in this movie. And another thing that really adds to the atmosphere is the use of practical effects. Like when somebody's being dragged across the ground, they're actually being dragged by a wire. Every time something scary happens, every time something goes bump in the night, it's actual practical effects. It's not CGI. And also the main demon, Bathsheba, not as memorable as characters like Annabelle or the Nun that came along later in this franchise, yes. But I still think it's a very effective demon, a very effective foe for the first movie of this franchise, and the practical effects that they put on the actor to look like the creature, absolutely terrific. And honestly, the entire third act with the exorcism and the child hiding under the floor and them trying to stop Bathsheba before Bathsheba reaches the child, all just really great stuff. And yes, with an exorcism movie, the final exorcism makes or breaks the movie, and this movie makes the movie more than just one way. It's just a really great film. And like I said, also adding to it is the use of practical effects, sound design, soundscape. The score really adds to it. That very eerie score that you get during the opening scroll really puts you on edge. The music box, just all really great, very well handled. And also the final shot of this movie where you're just waiting for something to happen, but nothing ever happens. That is just absolutely masterful from James Wan. I love this movie. 10 years later, still probably my favorite modern day horror movie ever made. So let's just go ahead to the final thoughts, because I'm not even going to waste time with the bad section, because there's nothing bad about this movie. I've already said it. This is probably my favorite modern day horror film. Happy 10 years. I cannot believe it's actually been 10 years. The Conjuring is just an absolute masterclass from James Wan and company, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. So that was my thoughts for The Conjuring. Have you seen this movie? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it, if you have seen it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.